What is going on, guys? Matt Downs with Daily Grind Fantasy Sports here to give you the edge for this NBA 1028 slate on DraftKings. Cannot wait to break it down. If you guys are brand new to this channel, we provide both free and paid content for all daily fantasy sports across all sports. If you could please show your support by hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, and of course smashing that like button for all of our future NBA content. If you would like to know more about becoming a better DFS player and taking down that big GPP, head over to www.dgfantasy.com. On dgfantasy.com, we give you cheat sheets for every major sport along with ownership projections, actual projections, and strategy for every single slate. We also cover optimal cash plays as well as preferred GPP plays and stacks for specific contest sizes. We do the dirty work for you. We are also currently partnered with Fantasy Cruncher, the best optimizer in the industry. When signing up for our $30 package, you also get a $20 credit to use towards any Fantasy Cruncher product. We provide the best value in the industry. Now let's go ahead and dive right into this NBA 6-game slate on DraftKings. Cannot wait to break it down. Before we jump into the main slate, I'm going to start doing this more often. I'm going to start recapping every single time I play NBA lineups, every single time I play NFL. That way you guys get an idea of like what to expect from my process and the process that we teach on DGF. So I give a rough overview every single time of the NBA slate on YouTube, obviously for free subscribers, and I greatly appreciate everything that you guys do. But we always take it a step further in our Discord channel with our late swap priority list, all the paid and premium options, and that's where you guys really learn how to benefit from DFS. So I'm gonna give you guys a taste of like the kind of stuff that we go over in our Discord chat, and just going to give you a rough overview of like what to expect here going forward on these free videos. Because again, you guys don't, a lot of you do care about the picks and stuff, but a lot of you want to take it a step further and see how the process is implemented on each one of these slates. I'll be doing this whenever I play NBA. Obviously don't play NBA every single night or every single day. Sometimes I play just NFL. Sometimes I take a night off if I'm getting overwhelmed with content, if I'm doing something as far as making dinner or doing stuff around the house. Obviously don't have full dedicated time to NBA every single day. But the nights that I do play, like last night, I will go over my process and how I implemented each one of my lineups in the contest. So if you guys can see behind my big head, I played 4 total lineups. I played one cash lineup, which also I played in a small GBP. Again, you want to capitalize on the upside if the chalk does hit on even some smaller GBPs. You want to play medium to larger GBPs, and you want to play them the correct way, getting different in some leverage spots and putting yourself into a better spot to take down GBPs. All right, so let's go over this process. This is what my cash lineup looked like last night. Click on entries here, and again, trying to scroll up. Oh no, you guys can see behind my big head. Okay, so this was my chalk lineup, and I actually had the exact same lineup as a lot of the sharks. So like Chipotle Act was in here. Let me go ahead and open up and just show you guys that I had the exact same lineup as the sharks here. So if you guys look at Chipotle Addict, had the exact same lineup, 333, and that's my username. Finished with 333 points. So this was the chalk lineup. And again, all I did was I went into Fantasy Cruncher. I crunched by ownership, and I put in our custom projections, limited my player pool to only the chalk guys, clicked optimize, and this was the lineup that it gave me. I had, you know, a lot of love for all these plays, and this was the one I ran out. So it was SGA, obviously very high owned, 33.7%, and this was in cash. Monk, 77.3% owned. Giddy was a lower owned guy at 13.6, but obviously still loved him because of his price tag. Giannis at 65, Mo Bamba at 10.9. Dort at 5.9% was very low owned, which I was actually kind of surprised on, but he looked very, very good in terms of the industry averages, and actually didn't really do the best there to start the game. He would have went off if he actually did something in the first half. 26 points, Batum at 27.5. Then Russell Westbrook at 59.5. Those were all very obvious plays. I can't believe I put my trust in Nick Batum and he actually hit. But yeah, this was the cash lineup. This got first place in a smaller GBP, sorry. Got first place in this 750 pick and roll. There's a single entry contest. Like I said, a small GBP got first place out of 73 people. I show you guys. Yes, second place got 333 30 points. His lineup was something like that. Whatever. We're not talking about his lineup. It had Justin Holiday in there. Whatever. Yeah, but then there were these bigger GPPs. This is what I want to talk to you guys about. So in NBA, it's very, very easy to get different. You pivot off of one single chalk guy, and it can differentiate yourself very, very easily. So if we take a look here, let's go ahead and go to entries. Open this up. I'm not used to using the DraftKings platform on the computer, so here we go. Bear with me. This was my GPP lineup, and I'll give you some reasoning for some of my plays here in this GPP. SGA, very chalky. Monk, Giddy, they were also my cash lineup. That was pretty much a core, 20.5%. Carmelo Anthony, Achua. Achua is actually also very chalky. So Carmelo Anthony was my low-owned guy, 2.9%. We had Lou Dort at 9.5%. And those are my two pivot spots. Carmelo Anthony was really the only guy I wanted to get different in. And Achua. Achua was another place I got different. As you can see, it was different from my other lineup in those two spots. So I only got different in two different spots. And this was a relatively bigger GPP. I believe it was like 1,400 people. But you really don't have to get different that often to pivot off of the chalk lineup. And again, it differentiates your lineup very, very much. This wasn't duplicated. Actually, it looks like one other person had it in my contest. But yeah, very easy to get different here, and it just fell short of the chalk build at 312.25, but I had a couple one-offs here, and it could have easily outperformed my bigger GPP. So then we get to the other parts of my lineup construction and my process. Let's go over to this lineup. This one I want to talk a little bit more about. So this one had Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown was one of our late swap priority list players, and what I mean by that is when after lock, Bruce Brown was announced in the starting lineup. Obviously, Claxton was also ruled out. I did some calculations. We saw that Bruce Brown was a great pivot spot. He projected very well in terms of our models, and because of that, I indicated that he was one of my favorite late swap priority players. So if you had a lineup that was already going, I made sure to tell you guys to get Bruce Brown into your lineup if you had the value to go down to Bruce Brown and then reconstruct your lineup. So as you can see, I went to Bruce Brown. It caused me to get different in a couple other spots with Rashawn Holmes. Rashawn Holmes obviously was more of a lucky play at 2.2%, and then Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann actually screwed me. So sometimes it doesn't go into your favor here when you make late swaps and pivots. But overall, I was willing to take the bet at Bruce Brown at 10%. Obviously getting different in a couple other spots because these other late swap options were carrying no ownership. But this one also cashed $25 atop 10%. But again, that was because of my process of putting Bruce Brown into my lineups. I was using Late Swaptimizer, which is on Fantasy Cruncher. If you guys go to Late Swaptimizer, you upload your CSV, you click Optimize based on your new projections, and it automatically puts all those lineups into your contest that you're already in. So that's how it works, okay? And that was my process last night. I played the chalk in 50-50s and GPPs, and double ups rather. I played the chalk in 50-50s and double ups, and then for GPPs I got different in a couple spots. And again, I handcrafted those lineups. I went into Fantasy Cruncher. I crunched by my projections. I saw where I got different. I locked in a few players, and that's how I critiqued some of my lineups because I knew I was only playing 3 other lineups. And after lock, when the Bruce Brown news came out, I uploaded the new projections, put the lineups in the CSV, and then I crunched out and I found the sharp plays, and each one of those GPP lineups actually cashed. So lucky for me, it was a great night overall. I won, over $200. I only put down like 60. So like I said, the process works. If you guys stick to the process, if you guys want to find out more about these tools, head over to dgfantasy.com. I spent the first, looks like 7 minutes talking about my process. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that segment. I will be doing this going forward and just showing you where my head's at and how to attack these GPPs and cash builds. By the way, I've had the chalk lineup 2 nights in a row. So process looks to be working out here in my favor. All right, let's now focus on the slate. We have a 6-game slate starting out with Detroit here. Jeremy Grant is questionable. That'll be something to pay attention to. Same thing with Philly, with Joel Embiid. If either one of those guys are ruled out, which we should know before lock because the game's at 7 o'clock, then that's going to shake up the slate tremendously. Joel Embiid is probably not going to play if I had to put a guess, if I had to put a bet on. He's hurt on his knee and ankle, and apparently he was in pain last game, so I'm assuming he will not play unless by some divine miracle He pumped himself with steroids and he's good to go. Regardless, Joel Embiid should not play. So again, we will revisit this picture. I can almost guarantee it at some point in the day. I will pin the comment in the comment section below if that does change. With Atlanta, nothing going on here. Same injuries, same thing with Washington. Raul Nato doesn't really affect that picture, but Daniel Gafford is officially out. We will talk about this team here in a little bit with the Washington Wizards, as Montrezl Harrell is expected to play and start. With the Knicks, Nerlens Noel is questionable. Doesn't really impact that. Zach LaVine is questionable for Chicago. That will change up this picture drastically. Again, if something happens there with Chicago, we will be right back to Chicago, and I will pin the post in the comment section below. With Utah, Bogdanovic is questionable. That will obviously shake up some things if he is ruled out. So another team we have to be looking at. And then with Houston, Daniel House, John Wall officially out. Nothing has changed there. San Antonio, nothing going on there. Porzingis is also questionable, so that will obviously shake things up if he is ruled out. And then Memphis, the exact same injuries we've been used to seeing here with Dillon Brooks. Dillon Brooks is still out. Looking at Golden State, same injuries here with Kuminga, Thompson, and Wiseman. Nothing to pay attention to. So if we take a look here with Detroit, Philly, pay attention there with the pending injury news. With Chicago, we're looking at Zach LaVine. And then with Utah, we have Bogdanovic. And of course, last but not least, we have Porzingis with Dallas. There will be some chalky plays if those guys are ruled out within those games. But let's go with what we know right now. I'm going to pull up my notes on the right side here, and we're going to go game by game. I'm only going to give you guys more obvious plays here on the slate as of right now, and then some of my favorite GPP plays, again, with the injury news that we know now at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Starting out with the Pistons, nothing going on here. All GPP plays, again, we're pinning that injury news on Jeremy Grant. So until we hear that news, I'm going to be completely off these guys in cash games and smaller GPPs. Switching over to Philly, the exact same thing can be said. Obviously, just talked about Embiid. If Joel Embiid is ruled out, then yes, guys like Maxey, even Seth Curry, Tobias Harris are going to get a lot more usage, and Andre Drummond will be ultimate chalk here at $4,900. So we will be paying attention to that here a little bit later on in the day. With Atlanta, nothing too much here other than big GPP plays. I do like Trae Young. It is a pace-up spot. This game is a 222 over-under. I do like Trae Young. Last night, he did pretty well. Came back there against the Pelicans and 36 points. Did hit value. Nothing crazy, but he's projected for 48 DraftKings points as of right now at 11.5%. So I do like him for GPPs. Also, same thing can be said here with John Collins. I do like him at $6,300. The thing with him is that he doesn't really play too many minutes. You know, we expect about 28 minutes per game from him, but he's been very, very efficient here to start the season in a pace-up spot and a good matchup here versus Montrezl Harrell and these other bigs for Washington. Now, switching over to Washington, we have the first most obvious play on the slate. This is the most obvious play. Ownership at 41.3%, which is actually the highest, projected right now at 34 DraftKings points at 5.3K. Really do like him here. He's averaging 1.11 fantasy points per minute if he is slated to start, which he is at 5.3K. Ultimate smash spot there against the Atlanta Hawks. Nothing more needs to be said. He's the most obvious play here on the slate. Switching over to the Knicks, I know RJ Barrett burned a lot of people, including myself, in GPPs. I'm going right back to the well here at 5.5K. I do like him for GPPs. The one thing with these Knicks and just, you know, their players in general is that they all play guaranteed minutes. At least their starters do. Julius Randle's one of those players. Love him for GPPs. RJ Barrett, love for GPPs, and they will need these guys against Chicago. Right now, this is a 215 over under, the second lowest on the slate in terms of the game total. But he is projected right now at 33 DraftKings points in terms of industry averages, talking about RJ Barrett. And then Julius Randle always plays guaranteed minutes and plays very, very much later into the game. Mitchell Robinson, another mispricing here at $5,300. He did come down in price, so I'm going to be taking advantage of that. We expect him to play about 28 minutes. I do like him to start here. They're going to need a big body against Vooch, so he should be playing a majority of this game here at 5.9%. Again, three of these guys are GPP considerations. If they go over that 107 Vegas total, then yes, they will all be in smash spots here for the New York Knicks. Switching over to the Bulls, we're not going to mess with them yet until we hear that news on Zach LaVine. Obviously, Zach LaVine's out. DeMar DeRozan, Vooch, and Lonzo Ball, even Alex Caruso, they all get usage bumps, and Caruso does off the bench. And then, honestly, nothing really going on here with Utah. Nothing until we hear that Bogdanovic news. Mike Conley will get a boost in usage. Same thing with Joe Ingles, who also get a minute boostage. And then also Donovan Mitchell, of course. Jordan Clarkson, all these guys will get the boost in usage, but nothing more needs to be said. I don't think this will draw too much chalk. If it does, again, I will revisit this and pen a post in the comment section below. Going over to Houston. Houston doesn't have too much here. Tate is relatively cheap at $4,800, but it's a very bad matchup and I'm completely off these guys in terms of cash. But for GPPs, yeah, if you want to take a stab here at Tate, I do like his price tag. He did come down at $4,800. He's had a couple good games back to back to start the season, 44.5, 31.5, and then had a dud here against Dallas, 11.75 points. Switching over to my San Antonio Spurs versus Dallas Mavericks, the Spurs do have Keldon Johnson, and I wouldn't look too much into this box score from last game because he only played 23 minutes because he was in foul trouble. Did get pulled very early in the third quarter. I was watching this entire game. Didn't shoot well, and he still got to 19 points. So take that as you will. Usage is up this season. Minutes are up this season. I still like that price tag. I think he is definitely cash viable at 5.4K. Definitely like the matchup here versus Dallas, and right now they're projected to score 107 points. I do like this here for Keldon Johnson. The rest of these guys are just going to be GPP options for me. I know DeJounte Murray at $8,800. I know a lot of people are going to want to chase that 71-point performance. But yeah, that was an outlier. Went to overtime against the Lakers pace-up spot. This isn't going to be the same kind of situation here versus Dallas. Going over to the Dallas Mavericks themselves here, Luka Doncic, regardless of if Porzingis is out, he's going to draw a lot of chalk because he's the one of couple pay-up options here on the slate. 24.6% ownership. You're going to be landing on Luka Doncic or Steph Curry. Luka's probably the safer option here, just given the matchup versus Spurs. And he's just a safer option in general. Generally has a higher usage than Steph Curry and is not shot dependent. He can do it all. Gets rebounds, assists, all that good stuff, and even plays a little bit of defense. Steph Curry is really shot dependent and very volatile. So again, for cash, I do lean on Luka Doncic, but Steph Curry does have that ceiling potential. I wouldn't mind landing on either one in cash or small GPPs, but Luka Doncic I do prefer here for cash. Jalen Brunson, it's so weird to see him at 5K. I do get behind it at 5K. He's still a good price tag. Has been playing good minutes now. He's got 28 minutes last game. I do expect that to continue. If he continues to play this well, there's no reason why he shouldn't play less than 28 minutes. I do like him here as a cash consideration. Right now, we have him pinned at 30 DraftKings points, which is still a good point per dollar value. We have him at a 6 point per dollar value. And then last but not least, we have the Memphis Grizzlies versus the Golden State Warriors here. Still going to be chalk city for Memphis, assuming that no injuries get reported before or after lock for the rest of the NBA. The Anthony Melton did have a bad game last game at 5K, and obviously only dropped 15.75 points. So if you have short-term memory, then yeah, don't go back to the well with Melton, but I do like him still. 28.3%, comes out to a 6.2 point per dollar value, and in terms of fantasy points per minute, still much more productive than Desmond Bane, who is at $4,900. I feel like a lot more people will go to him because of the price tag, because of what he did last game, which was yesterday. He only played 23 minutes, okay? So had an outlier game. I still like them both in cash, but I do prefer DeAnthony Melton at $5,100. He's just a better player here, and a very good matchup, a very good pace-up spot here versus the Golden State Warriors. Another guy to talk about is Jaren Jackson. He got in foul trouble last game, so did only drop 15 points. I'm not a huge fan of him. I think he's just very volatile, is always in foul trouble. At 6.5K, there's nothing to be in love with. I know a lot of people are going to be landing on him because he's also power forward and center eligible, so I do consider him cash viable. But other than that, I'm not a true fan here of Jaren Jackson. And last but not least, we have the Golden State Warriors. I just got done talking about that comparison between Doncic and Steph. Steph Curry, I do like for cash. I do think he's more of a GPP pivot at 21.9%. Jordan Poole is another cash consideration here at $5,800. I actually do like him. He's been getting more minutes, has shot miserably the past 2 games, but again, a very good pace of spot versus the Memphis Grizzlies. This game is the highest over-under on the slate at 229, so do attack this for last pieces, and Jordan Poole is a shooter and a pace of spot. 31 DraftKings points is what we have him projected at. All right, now let's go ahead and build a lineup. If I had to build a lineup and lock in some players, I'm locking in Montrezl Harrell. I'm locking in Melton. Let me go ahead and sort by my value plays. And again, this is as of right now, so everything might change. I'm also locking in Bane. Where else would I go after this? I'd probably go to Keldon Johnson. Keldon Johnson is another great play. And then I am going to probably go to Luka. Let's see if I can actually do that. Luka, my projections. Yeah, so my lineup would look something similar to this. I'd also max out my salary. So let's make the minimum $49.9 and see what my crunches are giving me. Damian Lee is the last spot, RJ Barrett, and Vooch. Yeah, so Vooch would be a great play and a good matchup here versus the Knicks. So yeah, this would definitely be more of a GPP lineup with Damian Lee in there. I'd probably switch it up. But yeah, if I had to lock in the core right now, I'm definitely looking at the Memphis Grizzlies, and I'm looking at Montrezl Harrell paired with Keldon Johnson. And that will wrap up my video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, please do hit that subscription button, notification bell, and of course, smash that like button for all of our future NBA content. With all that being said, have a great rest of your day, and let's cash.